All right, greetings and good morning. Much better. I'm sure somebody agrees. So, good morning to all of my to all of my alchemists. Good morning from the House of Spring Joy. I did a video, or I'm doing a video right now after seeing this news. When you see so many people make a big deal out of the sorry ass stock market, especially Boyce Watkins, you pay attention. You know, I wasn't ignored all the news yesterday because somebody else said that yesterday, and I was like, so what? So here we go. So the stock market crashed today. Hip hip hooray! It's just in time for Halloween. Just in time. Amen. Now, oh, and sorry for the re for the redo, the take two that I'm doing right now. I saw that actually somebody seems to have been watching the previous video. I hope this is public. I hope that it automatically made it a public video. I hope so, because I want to do my live stream public. It better be public. Anyway, I can check right now and make sure it's public. It says the stock market crashed today. Let's go to my channel. The stock market crashed today. Here's why. I mean, oh shoot. I'm so preoccupied trying to make sure my stuff is perfect. The stock market crashed today. Here are some thoughts. Good. It's public. So here goes. I received this morning at 5:43 a.m. 5:43 a.m. I just received it 20 minutes ago. October the 11th, which is my auntie's birthday today, 2018, from Boyce at BoyceWatkins.com, the Black Business School. So here goes his letter, his morning note to us. Greetings. I hope you're doing well. The other night, I gave a lecture on how to build a family economic empire with $5 a day. I hope that those in attendance gain the information necessary to change your lives. Excuse me. This message is especially relevant given the recent stock market crash this week. For the record, market corrections like this happen on a regular basis. And as a matter of fact, I've been watching the market, speaking of that word corrections, and somebody else said the same thing if it wasn't Boyce Watkins. As a matter of fact, I think it was Boyce Watkins. He said the word correction. So I was following it. And it actually wasn't yesterday wasn't the first day. So anyway, back to this. For the record, market corrections, quote unquote corrections, like this happen on a regular basis, which is true. Now, while no one can predict the future of the stock market, a great deal of information can be learned from market disruptions of the past. There is nothing new about what happened this week. The only surprise is that it didn't happen sooner. Yeah, that's the administration doing that. The Trump administration. If y'all are smart enough, if y'all got it down, if y'all understand the science that they're dealing with in that White House, over the summer, he did this. He did something, and over the spring, the people that was all disappointed by their losses because he opened his mouth and said something insulting, I think, to the Canadian president or the Turk, somebody. He was open, he said something, and he does it a lot, and he thinks a person like Donald Trump thinks that they are changing things for the better, but they really just hold things back for uh, uh, people, and they hold bad things from happening for like 5 seconds. He didn't really do anything. Anyway, we'll see what they do This is already the second year of the presidency. Let's see. Anyway, I'm sorry to go off on that tangent. This is not about economics. It is about economics, but this is about spiritual. This is about metaphysics. So let's keep this going. For those who weren't able to make it, a record of my $5 a day stock market lecture and all slides can be found inside the Black Stock Market program at this link. I'm going to go to it. If you are not yet a member, you can obtain a 30-day free trial by visiting the blackstockmarket.com. And these are the slides he has. I want to look at the slides. This lecture and this information will help you decide how to approach the recent crash and also help you figure out ways to leverage your financial future. Please take care and have a great night. Sincerely, Dr. Boyce Watkins. So I guess he wrote it last night and he probably even sent it off last night and it just delivered this morning. So anyway, regardless of that fact, I finished reading the letter. Now I can continue what I was saying. This crash, or you could think of, for those people who still at this age and maturity of the society, but at this age, I am no longer interested in roller coasters. I don't like them anymore. I used to love them. But for those adults out there who can relate and at your age, you still like roller coasters, think of a crash, stock market crashes as a freaking roller coaster. It's go to the amusement park, have some fun, and crash, right? Oh, God. All my alarms, you know. Let's see, what's the next one? It's gonna go off at 6:20. In 15 minutes, I'll get another one. Anyway, the video good, volume is on high. So join this course to unlock. I hope I don't have to put no credit card information. If you are already enrolled, you need to log in. If I am enrolled, I would have to remember my password. Anyway, so just think of it as since it crashed yesterday. Let's see what Mika and Joe and Willie got to say. Because I don't listen to them, their white asses anymore. I don't even listen to Rachel Maddow anymore. I don't even listen to Lawrence O'Donnell anymore. Everybody is boring. So this is where I was going with this. You see, this shit is boring. Uh, and I am a MSNBC head. It's just like saying you're a pothead. I'm an MSNBC head. Don't you put no other news in front of me. Besides them. I mean, it's cable, you know, what you expect me to say. There's other channel out there, but I don't know what it is at the moment. I forgot what. There's some other channel out there that's news. It's not the you know, the main three. Anyway, so this is the opportunity. I do this every stock market crash. It's an intuition that I naturally have by birth. I was born with this particular type of market intuition. You go in, and you could tell it's going to happen, or not even. Excuse me, I can't. You can tell. Maybe my other spirit, my altered dimensional spirits, can tell it's going to happen, and I'm ready for it. I was ready for a Sunday. I was ready to go in. You know what I'm saying? And and that's probably why I made the video on Monday morning on Columbus Day, and probably why I made that video on Saturday morning too. And you just go in. That's what a crash is for. Is to go in, dive deep. Maybe a better example than the roller coaster will be if for swimmers. If you ever practice deep diving, you go to a pool that's like 12 feet deep or something, or whatever it needs to be for you, the minimum that it needs to be for them to allow you to dive. I used to practice diving, and you dive head first, You go deep. Try to touch that floor, touch the ground. Don't hurt your knees. Don't hit your head. That would be kind of hard to do. Don't hurt your knees on the way up. Don't end yourself. That's the crash right there. Don't scrape your feet. None of that. Don't be stupid. And you go to the bottom, see if your body can take the pressure down there, and have some fun. Act like a mermaid. Get the oxygen that's at the bottom of the, you know, not the sea in this case, with my example, the bottom of the sea. Get the oxygen that's in the water from the bottom of the pool or sea of water. Learn what it's like to be a bottom feeder instead of eating bottom feeders, right? Learn what it's like to be a bottom feeder and be cleaner than the bottom feeders. That's why people say such nasty things about shrimp and, shellfish, because they are bottom feeders. You understand? And they say the law books of the Bible and all the other books and whatever, they say don't eat them. So, I mean, if you don't need to eat them, then don't eat them. Especially if I'm not going to get into the science behind what color your shellfish needs to be. I like lobster, and it needs to be red. I heard somebody say it when he was making a doctor who quit his profession, a dentist who quit his profession, said it needs to be red, rich red, the lobster or whatever, to get rid of the, I might as well say it on this channel, to get rid of the, what is that stuff called? Fluoride that calcifies your pineal gland. That helps. Okay? And the saltiness from the sea is healthy for the human body. So, I mean, if you're getting seafood, shellfish, it's supposed to be, that's, you gotta think of things in positives. So, anyway, that is what this little live stream on the House of Spring Joy Alchemist. I'm not on the wrong channel. I'm on the right channel. This has nothing to do with the actual stock market. I hate the stock market. I loathe it. I'll give an example of what happened to somebody I know as a result of Donald Trump and his apparent verbal abuse of somebody this past spring. My father had invested a bunch of money into, he always does it. That's him. He always done it. Most of my life, I would assume. And he had Tesla stock for several years. They're doing it now. Weather disasters. Oh, they're talking about the weather. He had Tesla stock for a few years and didn't have the common sense to know that if you do good with a stock like Tesla and you're not a rich if you're not a rich white man, if you're not a filthy rich person, it's time for you to go to the next level up. It's time for you to level up and sell your stock and try. I don't want to say try your luck. That's only for people that don't know where to go. But in general terms, try your luck. They talk about Mr. Michael, Hurricane Michael. Try your luck in another stock that costs more money. Because the stocks that are worth a lot of money, Tesla stock, for somebody like me, Tesla stock is worth a lot of money, or cost a lot of money, rather. Cost a lot of money. It's not worth a lot. It really isn't. If I could afford it, I would have bought Tesla stock last year. But I didn't want to risk buying it. And then this happened. And the Tesla stock dropped. And I've been watching that shit all ever since April, watching the shit drop, not go anywhere. Because it was between Tesla and Netflix for me. Netflix was number one. If you bought Netflix stock last summer, you would have made 200% of whatever you invested. If you would have invested in it last summer and sold your stock before March or February, you would have made 200% whatever you invested. Anyway, it was between Tesla and Netflix. They did the best. But it's not worth it. Tesla's not worth it. Unless you're filthy rich. And shit doesn't matter. $300 or $350 for one stock really isn't a lot of money. But somebody like me ain't trying to buy it for this shit to happen. So he kept his stock stupidly because he should have known, but especially if he did well for 3 years with Tesla, he should have known that something was about to go down. And he should have sold his stock and got all his thousands of dollars out. I'm using numbers to show you how much this means to people when it says the stock market crashed, and bought a stock that was worth like bought like Amazon. I would have went straight. I would have sold Tesla stock January 1st for the new year. Happy New Year or Christmas. I would have sold it. And I would have taken all my money and I would have put it in straight into Amazon. Cause I like that bald-headed man. They call him. They say he's evil, or say he's wicked. Whatever. I don't give a damn. He he knows his money. I guess he's like a Mark Zuckerberg twice the age. If Mark Zuckerberg is a stupid, if Mark Zuckerberg is a stupid adult, young adult Jew, billionaire young adult fucking Jew, whatever his Khazarian Jew, then that guy, Jeff Bezos, it's going to be the same, probably might be the same thing, for Mark Zuckerberg when he turns that age. Or maybe he'll just end up being like a George Soros, a bitter ass old man that wants to ruin everybody's life, George Soros, or one of them other Jewish people. But anyway, the bottom line is that's what I would have did because I have the intuition. So since I have the intuition, I would like to use it for everybody else's benefit. Are we still live? Yes, we are. Good morning once again. And if my father would have, see you men, you don't put it, you keep us away from your money. So when it's time for you to lose your money, we gonna make sure we gonna make sure we gonna make sure either we get it or you lose it. If I was in control of it, if he was asking me advice, I would have said, okay, well, listen, homie, if you miss the Netflix opportunity to make 200% in less than 6 months, then it's time for you to sell all of those expensive, all those cheap stocks. Because this is how you got to think. If you cannot afford to purchase a Tesla car, think about that. This is the same car that this filthy rich genius, because he is a genius, put a dummy in, and either put his personal Tesla, red Tesla car inside this spacecraft with his rockets that he recycles. What? He recycles his rockets. Okay? Talk about not wasting. All right? That's the reason why NASA messed with him. Okay? Remember back in 2016 when his thing failed and they was all dissing him and everything. See, people don't pay attention. So anyway, after he pulled that off and either got the people to believe that this spaceship went out into outer space and is going to circle around the freaking sun for the rest of eternity, forever, with his personal red Tesla and with a dummy inside of it. Either he got everybody to believe he really did it for real, or it was all a hoax, and it doesn't matter because whether it's a hoax. Because I just told you he recycled his rockets. You know how much rockets cost? So if somebody was able to successfully do that way and he's so rich it's not even a sacrifice. Well, you know what? It is a sacrifice because he's a genius. He sacrificed his own Tesla. He probably got like 16 other ones in his own garage. And put his own Tesla, I think that was his first one or whatever, in there, right? What makes you think that the stock on that fucking car that he put in the outer space is going to stay, is either going to increase or stay and not crash after he's finally was successful in his his little thing that he was doing to put the thing in outer space. He finally did it. He finally was successful, right? And then wasn't it also Tesla that or Elon Musk, excuse me, wasn't it also Elon Musk that since this is the metaphysical channel, you got a right to believe whatever you want. If you want to believe the earth is flat and it's impossible, you could believe that here. If you want to believe the earth is round or a sphere or a globe or a circle, like a ball or an egg or whatever, you can believe that here. If you want to believe that the shit is a triangle, you can believe that shit here. You want to believe it's a hexagon. If you understand the power of water, you will understand that the earth has all the shapes. That's on a three-dimensional tip, number one. Number two, I do believe in gravity. Number two, that's a sidebar. I do believe in the possibility and the likelihood of gravity. That's a sidebar. Number two, on a spiritual astral plane or a supernatural level plane, and in an extraterrestrial plane, for those of you that either believe in demons, aliens, whatever you believe in, phenomena can shapeshift. The same way my hair can shapeshift. The same way my hair can shapeshift. If I decided to go turn around and get a perm, or if I decided to try to take these locks out and put like some whatever lemon juice and some detangler and this that and go perm my hair and flatten it out, that's shape shifting. Okay, I could change the natural color of my eyes by not taking care of myself. I could do a whole lot. Shape shifting is real. Now, on if you believe in the reptilians and all of that, and the reptilians have an ability to shapeshift, and other reptilians have an ability to basically control your vision, your point of view of them, so that they look like what you want them to look like, so to reduce the fear, so that they can either attack you or maybe help you. I don't know, whatever. That's not the rumor. The rumor isn't they do that to attack humans. Um, what was I saying about that? Shape shifting is fun. Matter can shape shift. It can material. Let me get up for a second. Material, and I'm gonna take two examples actually. Material can shape shift just like this. Gravity. I just proved gravity. I balled it up. First of all, those of you that didn't pay attention in school, don't get mad at me. I accept it. It doesn't even matter if it's a lie, because the world we live in, they have made it real. Even if it's a lie, they still made it real. That's why I'm talking to you on an Android phone. The definition of gravity, I hope I'm saying this right. Yeah. The definition of gravity is the acceleration. And I hate to say the word that I'm defining, but the definition of gravity is the acceleration due to gravity. The acceleration indicates the rate in which you are being pulled or falling toward an object that possesses a gravitational pull on your body or your object that you're focusing on. The rate at which it pulls you in. So the Earth's gravitational pull is 9.8, I believe. It's 10, yeah. 9.8 meters per second squared. That's acceleration. Acceleration is always measured in the square. Okay? Velocity is always measured in the first dimension, the first degree. Acceleration is always measured in the second degree. So velocity is almost like speed. Velocity has direction. Velocity is speed with direction. So when you're driving your car and you press the gas and it says you're driving 25 miles per hour, that's the speed. But when you add that you're driving down Carpenter Avenue, which is a one-way street going south at 25 miles per hour, and you deserve a ticket if you're driving that fast, I think. Or is it over 25 miles? No, yeah, you deserve a ticket if you're going that fast. That's velocity. If I said I'm driving down Carpenter Avenue in the correct direction at 25 miles per hour, that's velocity. I gave you a very good application, didn't I? And acceleration is, oh, I'm sorry, let me slow down. Miles per hour, right? Velocity 25 miles per hour, or let's what's the word? Convert the what you calls over from miles per hour to what we do in science. We don't use no fucking miles and inches and stuff. We use meters per second, not per hour. Meters per second velocity, right? So 25 miles per hour, I don't know what that is. 1 mile is 1,600 meters. So 25 times 16 is whatever the hell it is. Okay? 25 times 16 meters per second. I'm driving down Carpenter Avenue. That's velocity. To make it more simply, I'm say I'm driving 25 times 1,600. I hope I put 100 in there. 25 times 1,600 meters. And then you got to do that, the seconds. I can't do that shit. Hours to seconds. I think you got to multiply the numerator again by a 60. That's a big number. Meters per second. Skip that part. Meters per second, south. Going south, in the direction south. So now acceleration would be similar to when you're speeding and you're going, say you made I don't know, a turn, and you decided to drive across the Nereid Avenue Bridge to get to Webster Avenue so you can get on the highway. And when you finally get to the highway, you want to increase your speed or your acceleration, because you're going to say you're going to 138th Street in Grand Concourse from here, and you want to accelerate. You want to increase your speed. You have to increase your speed in order to get onto the highway and drive at a legal speed. That's an example of accelerating. But it's not gravitational. It's actually, I think it's inertia or friction or whatever. You're actually moving against gravity. You might be moving against gravity if you think about it. See, if you're walking, if a car is built the way a car is built, it may not be considered moving against gravity. I think it's inertia. So let's stick with that. That's an example of acceleration. But natural acceleration is when you're falling. And there's a rate at which you're falling. The same way there's a rate at which you might increase your speed to get up to 70 miles an hour on the highway. Right? There's a rate that you might do it. It might be for every minute you increase, every 30 seconds you increase your speed 5 miles an hour or something like that. Right? That's whatever. Whether you want to consider that natural, if that's how your body naturally presses on the gas, or if it's conscious. But the gravitational pull to the planet Earth is 9.8 meters per second squared. So that's the rate at which you are falling when you hop up and down, when rain falls, I guess. when what falls out of the sky? Nothing falls out of the sky besides rain. When you tell somebody, here, catch this, you're up on the second floor, and I'm on the first floor, and you tell me, here, catch this, and you drop it. That's the rate that is falling. 9.8 meters per second squared. That's on the planet Earth. On, I believe, on, I don't know if this is true. I think on the moon it's half that. I think it's 5.4. Or some other planet is half what it is on Earth. I think it's the moon. And then on Mars, every planet has its own gravitational pull. Okay, that's how the solar system works. It's all energy. It's all physics. Energy is moving with each other. Just like when you're in a room with a bunch of people dancing, or if you're a performer and you're on stage performing, and everybody's energy has to sync with each other to create a performance that looks attractive to everybody. That's what it's like in outer space for all of the planets to rotate around the sun. I obviously believe that that the solar system exists. I believe that we are traveling through space. I believe that model. I believe the model that we are not only rotating around the sun, excuse me, rotating around in a circle, in a spin, revolving around the sun. I also believe that in the pattern of the Milky Way galaxy, we are revolving around the center, the black sun at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And I also believe that we're going traveling through, well, that's traveling through space right there. We're moving in three different directions, at least three different directions at once, while I sit on my ass on this couch. So because of all of that, you gotta learn, because of all of that, you gotta learn how to dive deep like infinite waters. Now I'm gonna take my face out the camera. I'm gonna put it face down because I said what I needed to say, and I taught what I needed to teach, and now I'm gonna say what I needed to say, or maybe I said it the wrong way, whatever. But that's why you have to learn how to dive deep, because we're moving at different angles and directions all while we're standing still. The earth is carrying us. The planet is carrying us to our destination. You have to believe that you're here for a purpose. Because before you think of your own purpose, before you think of the purpose, it's got to be a reason why you're already here before you even thought about it. Because when a baby is born, the likelihood is that the baby is not thinking about its purpose. It probably doesn't even know what a purpose is yet. So that means that there's a reason why it was born. And if the baby, when you're conceived or when it's born, if you don't know, and if you can't communicate your purpose even to other human beings, let's just say that to other human beings, we'll assume that a baby cannot communicate its purpose to other human beings when it's first born, right? Because we're going to assume that some of these babies, uh, their purpose is not self-driven, at least some of them, but their purpose is externally driven. So if that's the case, and everybody is, we understand that all human beings are unique, right? So everybody has a different formula to their purpose. And if that's the case, then there has to be a reason why you're here, even if it's no reason at all. There's a reason why you're still here. So because of that fact, I wonder when I talk, I wonder what laws I be using to make my rationales and my logic up. But because of that fact, um, what was I saying? I was saying that I was using the word purpose to explain why you have to have faith. That's what it is. That there's a reason why that even before you realize your purpose, you have to have, if you don't have faith before you realize your own purpose, something is going to happen, is bound to happen to you. It might be good, it might push you towards your purpose, it might be bad, but something is bound to happen to you that likely will slow you down or derail you from your purpose or the time that you're supposed to. That's why faith is important. And so because of that, and because of the fact that we're intelligent beings on this planet that has life on it that doesn't need you to keep itself sustained. You need it. The life on this planet does not need you. You need it. For all of those things to be happening all at once, there better be some gravity involved. There better be. For several reasons. Because there's different spirit, there's different, well, we already know that there's different emotions out there. There's different, I mean, shit, the way that I'm saying it makes it sound like this place is a place to be desired. So if that's not the case, then somebody would have taken it already. And we already see that this planet already is under assault. But even though the planet has been under assault and is under assault by those that control the the world system is still here. The planet is still here. We're still here. It doesn't even matter if this is a matrix because the universe is all calculatable anyway with codes and sequences and what do you call those things? The golden ratio. What's the other one I'm thinking? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everything is already encoded. A matrix is irrelevant. Because if there is a matrix that someone created, then that creator of the matrix is a part of the universal or multiversal matrix. And it's going to keep on growing. Can't do nothing about that. And we already have been informed that the universe is growing. I don't remember the rate that is growing or nothing like that, but it's expanding. The universe is growing. And, what does that mean other than that there's potential? So if there's potential, you better have patience because your purpose may not have come yet. You might have missed your purpose. Somebody else might have triggered you to be in the left lane instead of the right lane and miss your turn, or be in the right lane instead of the left lane and do something. So because of all of that stuff that I was able to actually articulate, this is the evidence toward us having to have gravity or relationship. It's almost the same thing. Because it is the same thing. Gravity is to the concept of relationship as, an apple to its branch or its stem. Same thing. That's what gravity is. It's the relationship. And that's why each planet has its own unique gravitational pull, each one. And all of the moons, I'm assuming all of the moons on all the other different planets, they all have their own unique gravitational pull. It's called the force. I believe it's called the force due to gravity. I hope that's right. Because that's what it is. It's a force. that's pulling you in whichever direction is pulling you. So, if the stock market is crashing, something is pulling it down. And there's a reason that this something is pulling it down, or there is a reason that it is being pulled down, or there's a reason that it is falling. There's a reason. Even in the midst of chaos, there are reasons. You'll find them. So let's see what they're saying about the stock market.
We begin this morning with some breaking news.
5:49 a.m. What did they say about the stock market at 5:49 a.m.?
It's 831-point plunge yesterday. It was the worst day for the Dow in 8 months and the Nasdaq's largest one-day drop in over 2 years. Investors were shedding shares in record numbers. In fact, Dow futures estimate the losses are going to continue when the stocks reopen later on this morning, but the effects of yesterday's slide, they're already being felt overseas. So let's head to ourselves to CNBC's Juliana Taubaum, who's
Can y'all hear
from
it?
London. What's the latest from there, Juliana?
No, I don't think so.
It has indeed been a brutal 24 hours for markets.
800 points. That's a great number. That's a lot.
Felt the pain as well, with the main equity index in China tumbling more than 5%. Now here in Europe this morning, we're also seeing the negative effects of this change in sentiment. The European equity index, the StockMkt 600,
already being felt overseas. So let's head to ourselves to CNBC's Juliana Taubaum, who's joining us live from London. What's the latest from there, Juliana?
It has indeed been a brutal 24 hours for markets. On the back of the weak trading session yesterday in the U.S., Asian markets felt the pain as well, with the main equity index in China tumbling more.
The 5 hottest stocks, tech stocks, 172 billion in market value. Poor Chinese.
Tumbling more than 5%. Now here in Europe this morning, we're also seeing the negative effects of this.
Did you hear that? 5%, $172 billion is only 5% of the market. And that's what it fell. That's what so maybe people understand why it ain't that big of a deal.
So this change in sentiment, the European equity index, the StockMkt 600, is down nearly 2%. That is hitting near 2-year lows.
I think somebody's going to have a happy Christmas.
And President Trump yesterday weighed in on the market moves, criticizing the Federal Reserve, which has raised interest rates 3 times this year. Now, in terms of what is driving these market moves, it's really a combination of things. One, concerns around inflation and what this means for interest rates in the U.S., and in turn, the effect that higher rates will have on businesses, also global growth concerns, and also trade tensions, of course, between the U.S. and China. The key question now, how long will it last? Is this the start of a long-term correction, or is it just a blip? We may get some insight today. U.S. inflation report due later on. Focus will certainly be turned there. Back to you.
Okay.
S&P, I don't even know what this stuff means. I'm so glad. 500 is down 21 future changes. Dow Jones down 234, and the Nasdaq is down 47 and a quarter. Implied opening is going to be down 81.75 for Nasdaq. The implied opening for Dow Jones is going to be 325.74 for Dow Jones, and then the S&P is going to be implied 30.28. So you crash even while you're sleeping. See, this is the proof that we living in a solar that gravity exists and we live in a solar system, because even while you're sleeping, the shit is moving. And last night it was moving in the downward direction.
Okay, Julianne Taubaum live from London. Thank you so much for that.
All right, coming up, the axis is election.
We live in a galaxy. We have complex relationships with many, many, many entities, whether they be other stars in the sky, whatever. We have complex relationships. That's what all this stuff represents. That's my evidence toward my belief that we live in a complex system in a complex galaxy. which means that this motherfucker ain't flat. We're more complex than a flat earth. But you have to see the dimensions. You have to see it from other people's perspective to imply or to add or include dimensions so that your flat becomes three-dimensional. Flat is not three-dimensional. Flat is two-dimensional. We don't live in a two-dimensional world, so why would our planet be flat? It wouldn't be a planet if it was flat. Why would our Earth be flat? The flat plane theology was the theology toward explaining how the creation began. The creator probably created this a garden and us and his creation in a flat earth dimensional space, because he's a creator. Maybe he created it. It's just like when you create something on the table is flat, but once you created it, it doesn't stay on the table, it doesn't stay on the desk. You take it off the desk. So every time that they talk about the flat earth, it's always in reference to the Genesis story. The Genesis story is a story that is taken out of the context of time, in my belief. The Genesis, because first of all, this God's time is 1,000 years for every day, and our cause is better than 1,000. One day, how's that word? 1,000 years. So 7 days, God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. That's 6,000 years, at least. That's what that means. It's not literal, first of all, and that's even irrelevant, because if that's the case, the rest of the solar system wasn't even. There was no time. There was no solar day yet. It was taken out of the context of time for the purpose of creation. If you believe there is a creator out there, then he definitely has power over the constraints of the fourth dimension. So that's probably why he created us to be third dimensional beings, because we don't have power over the fourth dimension of time. We always subject to time. This is all going towards my belief that we live on a spherical planet, because water can do whatever it wants to do. It can bowl. Look at your body. You get bloated. Water controls how you look, how your body looks. If water can change the way your body looks when you're behind is fat on the summertime, or you're bloated, that's all based on water. If it can do it to your body, it can do that to the planet Earth too. And it happens every year or every season. The Earth does it because the temperatures of the water changes, and we're in hurricane season, so you can't tell me we don't live in no goddamn.
Steve McCannon has a look at this morning's One Big Thing. And coming up on Morning Joe, the very latest on Tropical Storm Michael as it makes its way further inland, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. Bill Cairns will have the very latest on where the storm is heading next.
Plus, we're going to have the new details on the disappearance of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi and the role Saudi Arabia's crown prince may have played as the Trump administration ramps up its demands for answers from the Saudi government.
Plus, former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, Democratic senators Bill Nelson and Chris Murphy, and Democratic nominee in Georgia's gubernatorial race, Stacey Abrams, all join the conversation. Morning Joe, everyone, just moments away.
Wow. Infamous Jeb Bush, the quitter. The main person that nobody blamed for having Donald Trump as president. Isn't that something? Speak of the quote unquote devil. Speak of the devil. So anyway, what's this about? This is about the hurricane? No, this is, you know what I want to say? It's so funny how somebody goes missing the moment their girlfriend says they want the president to go find out what happened to their boyfriend. The president does it. Oh, they got so much influence. It's crazy. Okay, I think I'm finished because I don't want to be cruel, so I'm not going to say what I was just thinking. It would be wrong for me to be so mean and say that. Replacing Nikki Haley at the UN.
Who are you hearing may be the front runner, and do any of them actually want the position? How do you also audition for this president, so to speak?
Auditioning, I think, is a great word to use for this. But you're right. We are told 5 people who are in the running to replace Nikki Haley. There's been no public movement on this yesterday, at least, but we're told that Dina Powell is still the front runner for this consideration.
Before I
for
go,
this position.
I would like to
and,
do
you know,
a
a source close to
festive
Trump told us when thinking about how to audition for
slash
this position that the
Halloween.
worst possible
What's
position
this
you could
for?
be in is to be considered a maybe
What's that
Trump
shit?
pick. The source said that if you are considered a maybe and there's some sort of ambiguity around your position, then you're basically just waiting to get your head chopped off. You want to be someone who the president likes personally, who he perceives to be loyal to him, and who he is all in about nominating. And we're hearing that Dina Powell is the front runner with those regards.
But
American.
Alexi, I mean, was there ever any serious consideration given to Ivanka? You know, she had to put out that tweet saying,
and
"I'm
they're
not
good. They
gonna
taste
take
good.
this position."
I've been eating them.
By your description that you just
As
gave
dinner.
there, it fits Ivanka Trump
you
in
see
terms
what
of
it says?
loyalty and all that he looks for.
Yes,
Let's just do it
it
this way.
absolutely does. And the president himself said that Ivanka would be a wonderful choice. And I think he even said there would be no one who is more competent than her to fill this role.
Yeah,
he clearly
especially
thinks
as
very
him
highly
being
of her,
president.
But he's also keenly aware of the criticism
own
he would
daughter.
get in the scrutiny.
And the fact that
for
she doesn't
nepotism,
have a
which
job
he
anymore
mentioned
because she had to,
himself
her
during a
business
presser
went,
just the other day.
she had to
So
close her
I think
business
while
because
he
of all
might
the
think that she's more
scandals.
than qualified,
She
he
is-
knows
she's
that he
available.
would face backlash and criticism, and even potentially
Anyway,
open himself up to questions about her role
here we
with
go.
the Trump organization.
Pumpkin seed tortilla chips.
Switching
They're
gears one
good.
more time, 'cause
I
gotta
got
squeeze
these from
this one
Bed
in.
Bath
I know
&
that
Beyond
Alex is
for
reporting that
$5.
Democrats, after the 2016 election, they're going to embrace big data ahead of the upcoming midterms. We know that big data was critical in Trump's win back in 2016. Tell us more about their plans.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, after 2016, Democrats feel like they sort of blew the election in whole and total, but especially with data. There's this new group called the National Democratic Training Committee that recruits and trains Democrats across the country. They built the first ever training platform to give Democratic candidates, staffers, activists, volunteers the ability to
It's a 20-ounce bag of chips for $5.
Party's voter database. And
Get
this
your
is all
pumpkin
kind
in.
of wonky and in
Get
the
your pumpkin
weeds, but
on.
It matters because it makes these newbie campaigns and first-time candidates easier to find these persuadable, crucial voters that could really flip things for Democrats on election night
Get
in
your
a way
pumpkin
they
on.
just didn't have in 2016.
Hey, Alexi, what are you keeping your eye on today? What's the big thing you're watching?
So another thing I'm watching related to Democrats is that Republicans are becoming openly, increasingly worried about how much money Democrats are raising.
I think this was a good
Democratic candidates are taking lessons from Bernie
topic
Sanders'
for this
campaign in
channel.
2016
I hope I'm
and
right.
harnessing these hundreds of
And I did it
thousands
for
of small
53
dollar
whole
donations.
minutes.
And Republican strategists are now saying they're worried that is putting
I want this type of stuff
Republican
on this
districts into
channel.
play for Democrats in a way they just haven't seen
All
before.
right, that's something certainly to watch, Alexi McCammon. Thank you so much
So,
for that.
these chips are great. You can eat this any time of the day because it's a healthy snack. It's tasty, flavorful, pumpkin seeds, tortilla
All right, that
chips.
does it for us on this
Yellow
Thursday
corn
morning.
tortilla.
I'm Eamon Morgan alongside Alex Switt. Morning, Joe. Everyone starts right now.
He's getting old, man. My God, hey, look. His
Good
hair's
morning and
getting.
welcome to Morning Joe. It's Thursday, October 11th. With us, we have Republican communications strategist and an MSNBC political contributor, Rick Tyler. We also have Donnie Deutsch with us today, along with former Treasury official and Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Ratner, and NBC News national political reporter Heidi Priscilla. And Mika has the morning off.
After so many years of saying this woman's name.
This morning, of course, the Dow experienced its worst loss in 8 months yesterday.
Oh, shut up. They go through this every 8 months and they don't get it. And it's not a big deal. Y'all money, men don't understand that money is not that important. Anyway. I just need some silence for a second. That's all. I'll turn down. What I'll do is I'll turn it down. I'm going to try to leave this so people can read. I think it's a good idea for people to, I would say, patronize American made products. Has nothing to do with patriotism, but it does have to do with nationalism. You got to build a nation if you care about yourself.
831 points.
And that's why this is irrelevant. Because I had $5 and enough money to pay the taxes and everything. I had enough money to buy this. Cash. I don't understand this here.
Did the Saudi crown
That's
prince personally order an operation
the
to lure him
journalist.
from his home in Virginia? Also, we're going to be digging into the op-ed that President
His name is
Trump wrote to the
Khashoggi.
USA Today on
He's
healthcare. The
Saudi,
Washington Post
I guess.
fact check says that
or
almost
American.
every sentence contained a misleading statement
He's
are
Arab
false.
American.
And we have more
Obviously.
new polling to
Here's
get
your
to.
ingredients.
Steve Kornacki is
It's made in
back
the
to help us with the
USA.
numbers. But first, Willie, take us through the damage caused yesterday by Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, Joe, this is a bad one right in your neck of the woods. A wide path of destruction along the Florida Panhandle this morning after Hurricane Michael made landfall yesterday. The storm came on shore as a catastrophic, unprecedented Category 4 with maximum sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. At least 2 deaths are being
After all the junk I was talking about North Carolina on Monday, y'all did come up with this. It's just like Angry Orchard beer from New York. That's my favorite beer, Angry Orchard. If you ever want to get me a gift, get me the roll. The pink roll is pink. The beer is pink. Rose flavored apple cider beer. It's my favorite. Oh my God, I wish I had one right now. I wish I had one right now. Oh, I can use one. I can use one to go with these chips.
Chasing down the worst storms on our planet. For them to make those statements, they're the ones that are just going to try to hype this up or, make it look worse than it really is. So I'm afraid of what we're going to see is going to be a lot of stuff like this, a lot of
Wow,
like
look.
this, and it'll be widespread. And a lot of these buildings are, they may have to tear them down instead of trying to repair them in some cases. And I know that we have Carrie Sanders in Panama City. Carrie was in
Oh, this is in South America.
Which is only about 10 to 15 miles away from the video you're seeing right here.
I mean Central America.
What was your experience as you went from Panama City Beach to Panama City?
Well, getting around on the roads in certain cases is extremely difficult.
And I would like to. Should I let him finish?
Debris on the road. Let me sort of widen the shot out here and give you a view of where we are.
Let me
right
give you a
now,
view of this.
and that is at
This is not a Doritos. You see where they get the. You see where they get. Hold up. Let me do a little health lesson. A little nutrition lesson. This is not a Doritos. This is a real tortilla chip. And it's actually organic. Did I see the word organic or did I see green sticker? It's all natural. Made with all natural ingredients. I just showed you the ingredients. This is not a Dorito. That's not what this is. This is pumpkin flavored tortilla chip. Imagine a Dorito. Put a Dorito in your mouth right now. Don't get too fancy with the flavors of Dorito. Probably the one in the blue bag is probably the comparable flavor. I don't know. And then imagine eating this. It tastes the same. The only thing missing is all that damn mix that they sprinkle all over the chips. And then the way that they bake it, what it's baked out of. The ingredients, how they bake it. That's why I need silence. Because they say it's golden. Amen. Oh, I was going to say to the ancestors, since I said all of that junk about money is not important and everything, then to the ancestors, I burned some money to y'all. I was going to say for y'all, but I might as well say that. To the ancestors, I burned some money for y'all on Monday night in the name of Cat Williams. If he got any problems, please give him some spiritual currency so he can have some better prosperity, some better fortune, and some safety and security. I forgot the things I asked for Cat Williams. But I did my ancestor ritual, my burning ritual. I don't got no more ancestor money left. I think I burnt all of the ones that I had left, I burnt them. All gone. I'm going to go buy some more. I'm going to go order some more. So there you go, Mother's Farm. Pumpkin seed tortilla chips made from the rich goodness of Mother Nature, straight from the freshest farm harvesting her soil, from the freshest farm harvesting her soil. This comes the wholesome foods of Mother's Farms. At first crunch, you will instantly love the flavorful taste of pumpkin and pumpkin seeds. Inside this all natural Mother's Farm pumpkin seed tortilla chip. This chip offers versatility alone or with your favorite dip. I usually don't eat dip because it's too hard to keep it in the house. And I have salsa in there, and I would not put sauce on these chips. With all the goodness of nature and none of the things that Mother never intended. Mother's Farm is where goodness grows. Welcome to Common Sense Snacking. All right, let's listen to this while they're in Panama City.
Winds that came through here, just tearing open through where this marina is. The boat stacked up. I was trying to calculate.
You can't leave other people behind. There's reasons for crashes.
Storm is this going to be?
Can't leave other people
We
behind.
know it's historic about the strength of this hurricane hitting along the Panhandle, the strongest storm to hit here.
So you rich people and you people in other countries going crazy over your fucking money, you can't leave other people behind. That's the lesson you might want to learn this time, because it just happened 8 months ago, and you're still complaining about this damn fucking stock market crash.
We have damage throughout portions of Florida, Panhandle, north up into Georgia, up into South Carolina. We're going to be talking about an incredible cost beyond the.
Woo! Did you see that tree?
And as people
oh my God!
Are wondering right now about, well, can I go home? I departed. I evacuated as was requested. I'd like to go back and see my home, see how things fared. It's not a good move. We have about 500 to 700,000 people in the 3 states that I mentioned without power right now. And because they have no power, anybody trying to come back is just going to get in the way of power crews. We get about 5,000 power crews moving in right now to try to restore the power, along with the fact that you got to boil your water. You have electricity to boil your water. You can't do that either, guys.
Carrie, you thought you said 100-mile-per-hour winds yesterday at the peak of the storm. Are you seeing damage that matches that in Panama City?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were roofs off schools. The windows blew out of one of the hospitals. They had to actually evacuate some of the patients from one portion of the hospital to another. Yeah, we're seeing a remarkable punch from these winds. And I personally experienced it. I mean, we were out there. I don't know what the speed was, but I was sort of locked in position, unable to really move. And then my colleague, who a good friend of mine, Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel, came over and sort of got me out of the hole that I was in with the wind coming through there. And the protective helmet I was wearing just popped right off my head and blew away. So I mean, it's quite a powerful hurricane here. And the storm surge to the east of the eye wall, like Mexico Beach. I mean, when you take a combination of the wind and the storm surge there, which early 7 feet, you get an idea of why this damage is so hard and so bad.
All right, Kerry Sanders there in Panama City. Let me just quickly catch everyone up where the storm is. The winds are only 50 miles per hour. The wind damage, for the most part, John, still We haven't had many tornadoes, so that has been good. But we still have 63 million people under flood watches because all of this rain is heading up the East Coast over the next 2 days. We're going to get soaked.
I'm gonna have such a nice weekend with all this rain. I love the rain. I love the bad weather. I swear. I'm gonna sleep so good. Sleep so good. I must sleep so good. Woo! I can't wait. I think I wonder what the weather's gonna be like up here. If I'm gonna have to miss my class on Saturday morning. That's on Friday morning. No, it's a little bit of rain in Connecticut area on Friday morning. A little bit of rain in New York City. Even less rain in New York City on Friday morning. Saturday morning, what's gonna be like?
Yeah, I was noticing it as it was making landfall, and of course
I'll
we're
take a cab just to
devastated for
get
those
to the
who
classes
suffered
in
through
case they
storm,
cancel
but,
it.
the fact that it tacked east and came in east.
I mean, unless they
Panama
cancel it. Did I say
City,
that?
there'd have been a lot more damage.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can feel the sleep I'm gonna. You know why I can feel it? Because I didn't sleep in my bed tonight.
Thanks so much. We're gonna be checking in.
I can feel it. I'm gonna get some sleep.
Over the past 24 hours. And Steve,
I'm
right
gonna
there,
get
let's
something.
talk about
I'm
this
gonna
storm.
sleep.
Here we are.
I'm gonna.
We're
Oh
in
my God!
mid-October.
All that
We're
negative,
having storms that you usually
charged
see
water that's
at
gonna
least
fall out of the
on Friday. You
sky
usually see these sort of storms if they hit.
is going to
You're gonna see
compliment
them,
me.
Late August, September, maybe the first week of October, early. But the storms are getting more powerful.
Can't wait.
They're coming at us more quickly.
I'm gonna have a
Talk to us
fabulous
about, you've
weekend.
got this charted out.
It
Talk
better rain up here.
to us about
It better
the
rain
intensity
heavy.
of these storms getting stronger.
Well, I can show you the data and maybe
With no wind.
parents can weigh in if he wants on the reasons.
This
but
rain, no wind.
Everybody's impression that these storms are coming more often each year is true. And so if you take a look at a chart that we put together, you can see that at the bottom there's a black line. This is the average from 1980
Wow.
until 2000.
Black
The
line.
number of storms that caused
Wow.
$1 billion of damage and the annual average during this period is 6. So there've been an average of 6 storms of severe intensity.
Notice
per
how they
year.
lost all their money,
And this is
but they don't
basically
realize
across the
they're not
year. So
thinking
starting
about how
January, as year
the
goes
loss
on,
of money
you
is
have
gonna
storms that get
stop
to be more and
them
more. If you look at what's up at the top
from
here, you can see
recovering
that
from all these
storms up here,
disasters.
all these major storms have all occurred in the last few years. In 2012,
Because they would forgive everybody's
when we,
debt
of course, had,
and plan
we,
for
of
the
course, had
future.
Sandy in 2008,
But they don't think like that.
in 2016, and then you can see over here the red line, which is where we are now, and that you can see we're also on track for storms that are well above the national average. So again, I would defer to the meteorologists as to why this is happening, but the data is very clear that the number of storms is much higher.
What
The
year
last
was
5
that?
years,
That
we've
purple
averaged
one?
11.6.
The
In
purple
the
one.
last 5 years, we've
No,
averaged
damn
11.
it.
In the last 5 years,
Here
we've
we go
averaged
again.
11.6.
I'm pressing the pause button and you ain't pausing. Pause.
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 In the last 5 years,
Oh, you can't pause it.
1980.
Oh,
And then
damn. I only got 5 seconds to look at it. That's it. That's 2011. The blue one is 2012, and the yellow. It's not
everybody's
yellow.
impression that these storms are coming more
It's
often
orange. It's
each year is true.
2016.
And so if you take a look at a chart that
2011,
we put together,
2012,
you can see that at the
2016.
bottom there's a black line. This is the average from
The
1980
purple one is
until
2011.
2018 of the number of storms that cause $1 billion of damage or not. And the annual average during this period is 6. So there have been an average of 6 storms of severe intensity per year. And this is basically across a calendar year. So you start in January, and as the year goes on, you have storms that get to be more and more. If you look at what's up at the top here, you can see that all these storms up here, all these major storms, have all occurred in the last few years. In 2012, when we of course had Sandy, in 2008, in 2016, and then you can see over here the red line, which is where we are now, and that you can see we're also on track to have a number of storms that are above the national average. So again, I would defer to the meteorologists as to why this is happening, but the data is very clear that the number of storms is much higher. In the last 5 years, we've averaged 11.6 major storms compared to 6 on average since 1980. And then if you want to look quickly at the cost of these storms,
Yeah.
you can see what happens.
Look at the cost.
Which is again, that you have a black line at the bottom, which is the long-term average of a relatively small amount of damage. And then you have so far two really major breakout years, 2005, which was Katrina, and you have 2011, 2017, which was Harvey, Irma, and Maria. And you can see those up here as huge numbers as well. Now, obviously, we don't yet have data on what the damage for this hurricane season will be yet, but you can see those 2 years were wildly above anything we've experienced in the past.
Yeah, well, if you look at the data, if you look at the trend lines, it's obvious that we're getting more storms. They're more intense. They're costing us a lot more. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a very good Republican, a very good conservative guy, but he also happens to be an executive with an insurance company whose job it is to handle risk management. He said, man, it doesn't matter how conservative you are. If you look at the data, just this century since 2000, and look at the storms, they're becoming more plentiful, they're becoming more intense, and they're costing billions and billions of dollars. Every year it keeps getting worse. And his conclusion was, and he's no meteorologist, but
my conclusion is,
anybody that suggests there's not climate change, they need to come.
my conclusion, forget about what his conclusion.
It's climate change.
If I was being spoken of in the second person, it wouldn't be his conclusion. So my conclusion is, all of the children that you murder, all the babies that you murder, all of the innocent souls that you murder, human beings, the plentiful, I love that word, the plentiful. There's different ways you can express that. Now, I'm going to repeat what I said.
Even as this storm was coming on shore, and people were bracing for one of the worst storms in the history of the Gulf Coast in Northwest Florida, Donald Trump was still holding his pep rally. Well, he said it would be unfair to cancel it.
It would be unfair to cancel it. It would be unfair to cancel it because you crackers are racist. And you know he's right. Why would you want him to cancel that shit? He's going to see you, motherfucker. Anyway, so basically, he said the word plentiful. That right there is key. It's about perspective. So here's some more perspective. Of all the people in this country alone that are good, law-abiding, honest citizens, honest people, residents, whatever, who are in debt, and you won't forgive them of their debt, the stock market can keep crashing, and the storms and the prices of the storms can keep increasing, and you'll never get anywhere. But it'll only be people like me that will get somewhere in the midst of all this BS. I have debt. I ain't even got that much debt. But if you would try to incorporate, the laws of metaphysics, which I don't know well, probably the law of rhythm would help. I wanted to say the law of attraction. But, and you say, well, for each sin weakness, for each death, for each, I was watching Brother Sanchez's video late last night, when he uploaded the testimony of a gynecologist or whatever, abortion doctor, telling his story or whatever. Like I said, for each soul that we sacrifice, and for each, consumer, whatever, for each consumer, we're going to forgive. And we'll just increase the debt until the debt gets so large that it becomes irrelevant. debt becomes so large. That's what y'all supposed to be doing. This is the end times. It's a real literal. It's literally the end times. The debt is supposed to get so large because your imperfect human system is supposed to fail. It's part of the process of life. You have to go through failure. You have to. So that's the direction it's supposed to go. But you can't see it. And then you have these people. And then of course everybody else is saying, well, the white man's time is up and he's about to blah 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 blah. It's your time to go, then go. I wonder what's so great about this planet to them. Mm-hmm. You can responsibly reach the climax of your $1 trillion economy, your $1 trillion, and it might be even more than trillions. Your $1 trillion debt. It might even be more than trillions, and they just don't want to tell you. And I think it is. I think it's quads. I think it's in the quads. I don't feel like looking it up because they're gonna tell you a lie. There's two different values. Let me see if I type it in what comes up.
It's one of these concerts where you've heard the band sing for 50 years, and he says the same thing.
Okay, I'll rotate the device. You have to have a value for human life. If the slave days didn't teach you any, and I guess the sharecropping days, but I don't really think so. If the days didn't teach you anything, then you go back to the slave days by yourself. I don't think God is going to make us go back. I think He's going to send y'all back by yourselves. You have to have a value for human life. And if you had a value for human life, you would forgive the human of its flaws. And you would compensate it with every dying baby in this country. Every dying life that's below the age of 1 year, below the age of, 3 months old or something, or whatever. I'm trying to include the unborn babies that die. Abortions. You don't want to include that in your debt. So the stock market is inaccurate because you kill so many babies that the stock market is inaccurate. Let's see. National debt. I don't even know why I'm looking it up. This is why I don't like to have friends, because most people lie. Most people lie.
Whether it's trucks to get electricity there or relief, what FEMA's doing, it's pretty much you are up. If you're in the White House and you're working 24/7, well, these devastating storms are coming on shore. You're not going up.
100,000 million billion trillion. It says 25 trillion.
That's just a statement of fact.
The federal spending is 5 trillion. Investment is 4 trillion. Personal debt is 22 trillion. How the hell is personal debt higher than the national? Personal debt is 22 trillion. The national debt is 25 trillion. Mortgage debt is 17 trillion. Credit card debt is 1 trillion. Only thing I have is in the smaller categories. Student loan debt is low. Credit card debt is low, but mortgage debt is 17 trillion. Student loan debt and credit card debt together is 3.4 trillion dollars. $3.3 trillion together. 3.3 trillion. Student loan debt and credit card debt. Mortgage debt is $17 trillion.
His rally, but we saw the political bickering that's been going
And
on
then it says personal debt is 66,000.
continue.
That's exactly what I got. I got like 40, 30, or 40,000. So I'm half of the personal debt.
As well as Ron DeSantis, the Republican cabinet.
Money creation is at 2 million billion, 2 trillion.
As we talk about whether or not the president should have held the rally, we'll get into some of the substance later, but I want to read you one quote.
Monetary base
In
2022.
the first 2 years of the administration, calling it quote, the greatest revolution to ever take place.
And to money supply 2022. I don't know what that is. Treasury Secretary. This is how y'all know. This is how you know that y'all know that we are producers and not slouches. You have you have money creation at $2.5 trillion. And the national debt is 25 trillion. And that's with all the adversity. Money is created 2.5 trillion. That's with all the adversity. Isn't that something? The student loan debt is low. The credit card debt is low. The mortgage debt is high.
Let's face it, everybody hates fees. Now, SoFi has no fees on personal loans. That's right, no fees on loans to remodel your bathroom.
U.S. income taxpayers,
Credit card debt.
$131 billion. I don't know what that number is.
You've got the drive. You can do a lot with no fees on personal loans. Yeah.
When you went from national,
That's enough numbers for me. So I'm going to just take all the crumbs and sprinkle them in the kitchen and sweep it up later. Woo! Okay. I wonder what Jeb Bush has to say. I swear, because I wonder how none of them would ask him if they think he's responsible, or if they thought, why didn't he think that he was responsible for getting Donald Trump out of the election, beating him instead of quitting. I would have voted for Jeb Bush. That's who I wanted. That's what I wanted. I wanted Jeb Bush. I like the money to stay in the same place. I don't really like giving new people the opportunities like this, because it's everybody knows what Donald Trump is going to do. He's going to try to line his pockets, but it came at a cost already. His daughter lost her business already, and it's only been a year and 9 months, because they start in January the 20th, and his daughter lost her business. Let me go and verify that is fact, because I could have sworn that they kicked them, that the Nostrum didn't like the way she was treating them. There's a world debt clock also. That was many months ago. That was a long time ago. 21 trillion, thousand, million, billion, trillion. Japan is 12 trillion. Every other country is 2 trillion or 1 trillion. Then you have the rest of the countries that are billions of dollars in debt. 100,000, million, billion. Nigeria is $87 billion in debt. Norway is $173 billion in debt. 1,000, million, billion. Poland is $269 billion in debt. Portugal, $285 billion. Russia, $161 billion. That's not bad, Russia, for your big ass country. Saudi Arabia, 285. Spain, 1 trillion, 1.3. Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, 179. Turkey, 282 billion. Greece, 358. China, 2 billion, 2.3, almost 2.4 billion. China. Germany, 2.2 I'm sorry, not billion, trillion. China, Germany, 2.34 trillion and 2.2. UK, 2.5 trillion. France, 2.55 trillion. India, 1.2 trillion. Italy, Brazil, Canada. What was I going to do next? Oh, my throat hurts. I was going to Ivanka with an I, right? Ivanka, yeah, Ivanka Trump. What's the name of her business? Shut down her namesake. It says she shut down her company. What's the name? So the name of the company is called Ivanka Trump. Has decided to shut down her company, decided to pursue a career in public policy. That's basically that. She quit her job. She shut down the company to pursue a career in public policy. And that's some shit.
They want certain things, but they will settle for certain less things. They want to be protected on Social Security, on Medicare for themselves when they get older.
What the hell are they talking about?
They want Medicare. And when their parents get Alzheimer's or something like that, dementia, they want Medicaid. They want and so is Sherrod Brown. And here's my message about Democrats. They're not going to listen to me because I'm yesterday, but I'll tell you this. The American voter, especially Democratic voters, are not greedy people. Understand that when people went to the suburbs to get away from this kind of violent behavior, they don't like people pushing people around. They don't like machine politics and boss. Know what's going on, and they're going to vote against Trump. They don't like him. Bucks will be difficult. I think Fitzpatrick could win.
Oh my Lord, what is he talking about? What is this headline?
Right now, I don't really know California as well as I do places like Northern Virginia, where Barbara Comstock right now is having to fight over.
This is why crashes
and that is, of course,
are part of this world.
being upside down with
can't leave people behind.
You know, an area that probably one of the most important swing areas in America. Those are the suburbs of Philly. Your brother's there. You're always talking to him. What's the temperature in the suburbs of Philly right now?
Look, I think it's a classic example of what a lot of people thought would happen in 16. It didn't, because of the difficulties Hillary ran into it, especially at the end with Comey's report and all that. I mean, Hillary's problems too, just generally. There's no Hillary problem this time in terms of the suburbs. It's going to be a clean win for the Democrats. Women are running in Chester.
Not in the suburbs.
In Montgomery. They're attractive candidates. They won big primary victories. Bucks will be difficult. I think Fitzpatrick could win there. The Republican, his brother was a popular congressman. He's there now. I think they might even win in Lehigh Valley. I think they could win at 4. I think
they're talking about just the election.
This election where,
they must be going through their primary next week. Today's Thursday.
And I think that's the big change. If that's the pattern across
This is
the
October.
country, it is the people in the suburbs. They read the paper, they keep up, they watch the show in the morning on the way to work. They know what's going on, and they're going to vote against Trump. They don't like him. They don't like his style. They teach your kids not to be like Trump. He's the bully in the schoolyard. They don't like him. And I think it's going to be pure. You get out west in the red area of the country, it's different. I think they're more patriarchal out there, I would guess. They don't mind guys like Trump as much as the suburban people. And suburban people went to the suburbs to get away from this kind of violent behavior. They don't like people pushing people around. They don't like the machine politics and bossism. So I think that my answer is it's going to be a big, clean win for the Democrats, like they thought they were going to get in 16. Pennsylvania, by the way, Bobby Casey's going to walk back in. And so is Sherrod Brown. And here's my message about Democrats. They're not going to listen to me because I'm yesterday, but I'll tell you this. The American voter, especially Democratic voters, are not greedy people. Understand that. I was just reading the last hurrah. They want certain things, but they will settle for certain less things. They want to be protected on Social Security, on Medicare for themselves when they get older. I don't care what their politics, they want Medicare. And when their parents get Alzheimer's or something like that, dementia, they want Medicaid, they want the basics, and they want Medicaid, and they want Obamacare. They want the basics now. And they want to be able to have a situation where their kids can get a job near enough to them that they can come home on weekends once in a while. They don't want them going off to California, Silicon Valley, or San Francisco, or New York. They want their kids to stick around. That's all the American voter wants. What they have and what they need and keeping their kids around. That's what they want. They're not greedy. They're not like Trump. And I think if the Democrats would understand, they don't have to be the latest avant-garde social thing or socialist thing. They don't need that. They want the basics. Go read Last Hurrah again. It's about what people really need. And that's what you have to do. Give them what they need. And I think that's what the Democrats are going to learn.
You know,
Joe Biden.
I agree with you.
Joe Biden.
Oh, anyway, I'm going to something different. I think we should ask just what Ronald Reagan asked when he ran. And he said, are we better off now than we were 4 years ago? Ask the American people now, do you feel better now than you felt 2 years ago when President Trump came into office? If Heidi's right, I think she is too, that some of the real things that they're not experiencing, the tax cuts not helping them, the trade war maybe not helping them, healthcare is not helping them, but much more important, do you feel better about your country now than you did 4 years ago, 2 years ago? Do you feel better about your presidency? Do you feel better about the of Washington right now? People calling each other enemies of the people, the press, people saying that Democrats are horrible, horrible people. If you don't feel good about that, then you have to stop it and you have to go in another direction. And that direction, I think, is in part what Chris said.
I'm not gonna play that
Just
thing.
talk
I
about
will
the
just
basics
tell
and
you
people
that
care
Brother
about their
Sans has
lives.
uploaded a
Even
video.
if you think that-
But
and you can't just keep saying it's
Watkins
better,
did an
it's better
interview
for
with
you, I'm making things good.
Dr.
But
Claude
just say what
Anderson
people's
last night.
lives play
I will
into
play that.
narrative. And I think if you just
I'll
ask
play it.
people, do you
I
feel
even
good
get
about
up
your
and
country
turn
now?
on
They're
my
gonna say no.
Bluetooth.
How can they say yes?
Well, I agree with that. But I
Because
think
I don't want to
it's a
hear
more
these people
nuanced
talk about
way
this
we have to
crap.
ask that question under Ronald Reagan, because he does have some things he can talk about the economy, about jobs, 3.7% unemployment rate, and so on and so forth. But you are right, at the end of it, people are
What's his
worse off in
name?
the sense on their after-tax income, but also in the whole
Panic
state of the
speaks on
country.
flat
But
earth
it's
and gets
not
you can
a,
believe whatever you want
coincidence
over
that the
here.
Democrats are running hard on health
It's an
care. If you
affirmative
look at
hit.
the
He said,
ads,
water's
the
here,
Democrats
water's
I
here.
don't believe that the earth
Pretty
is
much in
flat.
a
Sorry.
snow dome. Gnostics used to sit here in the fish tank. Okay, so we've never left the
So
planet.
after this, I'm gonna actually
He
turn
said,
it
well,
off.
how did the
After
earth and
this,
the sun move?
I think
If
it's
the
on
sun
this
is
channel
moving
here.
in unison like a gyro, the sun is actually moving this way.
is going to change that or distract.
And it's creating the illusion of east and west.
Let me see.
Really, you're saying the earth is moving around the sun. It's the sun
And
is
that
actually moving.
will.
And mind you, the ancient people, not necessarily the ancient man, because it doesn't come up, but there's people who showed this.
This is a
That was
short
the secret
video.
teaching of the ancient man. Now, I'm not big on debate, but there's a brother named Brother Sanchez who debated, I can't remember who was debating, about round the flat
A
earth.
short video about Wall
And
Street
Brother
that they
Sanchez
started by
excellent
selling
research,
slaves.
you know what I'm saying?
Was that not yesterday?
And he
It
came
was
up with
because
pictures,
the reason that I know it was
information
because he
on
said that
one table
the Supreme Court, they were talking about the
how the
Supreme Court.
ancients thought about the world. He
So
thought it
let
was
me
flat.
watch this video.
There's a lot of models, you know what I'm
The
saying?
name of the
One
video
of the ones, the
was
Norris model, you know what I'm saying? Showing the flat earth.
the
So
stock
you watch
market.
that for not the debate much, unless that's what you're into, but the information that he run was
I don't see
solid
the goddamn
in terms
video.
of ancient information. So now,
Maybe it's on Boyce
Why can't they work
Watkins'
together? Why can't they
personal
get
channel.
together? I'm so tired of this fighting. And I know that, you know, people talk about how everybody's becoming more tribal. No, actually, what's happening is we have a political
They
system
take it seriously.
you have primaries, and only a third of a party vote in the primary, and they're the most intense
Slaves were once.
people in that political.
Where the hell is this
There are
goddamn
2/3
thing
of the
at?
electorate that don't show up.
All right, let me go to the
Or
other
you have a ton of
account
independents
where I was
that
watching
can't
it.
even vote in the primaries. Think about the impact if independents in every state could vote in primaries, how less extreme American politics would be.
It is, what is interesting is extremism is
I even shared it.
You ever talk to a
therapist
Didn't I
recently,
share
and
it?
they will tell you for the first time in their careers, so much of their discussion is about politics. People are just unnerved. And
The
I think
secret
people are
racist
exhausted. And
history.
there's no coincidence
How
we
come I
talked about on
couldn't
the show
find
how
that?
Trump rallies are not rating anymore. I think for 2 years it has been
All the things they put in place for black
you
folk,
couldn't turn
as
away
I said, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, the 1865, 1866 civil rights laws, and the and 14 other, I mean not 14, but 8 other civil rights laws between 1866 and 1876. The United States Supreme Court ruled them as being
Are
unconstitutional.
you feeling better? Are you better off? How do you feel as a human being? I think people are feeling unnerved, and I think that's what's going to really drive the vote. It's an overall feeling. I don't feel good. Not am I better off? I don't feel
Everybody
better.
can use that
And I
new
think
flies and
that
blacks
is
out
going
and
to start
maintain
to
the
shift.
status quo because
Well,
we
you
are
know,
the
really,
guardians
that's
of
not
racism.
just
And make sure
people
everything
suffering.
stays exactly the way it was
That's
spelled out in the
also a lot of
Constitution.
people that I've spoken with. They're like,
Interesting. Well, everybody, I
I
want
want to talk about politics. I'm so
Great.
exhausting. Yeah, I voted for him in 16.
you respect
but I
whites,
just
and then
don't want to
black
talk
police
about
also
it.
respect whites because of their power. Blacks are powerless. They're disorganized. They have no resources. They have no alternatives. They're dependent on whites for everything.
So people just and say that's enough. And I
Hello everybody, how you doing? Hope you guys are having a good day.
There's also a sense of energy in people.
The secret racist history of the Supreme Court.
See all those black folks that are really hungry. They're not hungry for nonsense. They're hungry for something that makes sense. They're not hungry. They passing up the nonsense for the dollars and cents, for the common sense, for everything that you have, that you bring to the table. And I think that really speaks well to the future of the community. I'm real optimistic about that.
Well, I'm just proud to be a part of it, and I'm glad to be back on with you today. And what are we going to talk about today now? What would you like to do?
Well, I wanted to get you're a history expert. I know at the Harvest Institute, you've engaged in many legal battles on behalf of blacks. You've dealt with the court systems on behalf of blacks in terms of reparations and whatnot. You understand politics very, very well. In fact, from what I understand, you had that deep political history. You work with at a very high level. So you understand the political game better than most people do. And so right now, you got a lot of talk about the Supreme Court, the situation with Kavanaugh and all of that. And you said something that was real interesting to me, where you were talking about how black folks are not taught in school about this almost secret racist history of the Supreme Court, that there's a side to the Supreme Court that black people were never informed on. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, well, it'll be appropriate since they took a vote today for putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. And I'm just simply amazed, Dr. Watt. I'm just simply amazed. I cannot understand why our people in general and white folk in specific are so absolutely ignorant of history and its implications for the Supreme Court. And see, the Democrats are going to lose. They're going to lose every time. The new Democrats are going to lose every time, and black folk are going to lose every.
Just listen carefully.
In fact, from what I understand, you had that deep political history. You worked with the Carter administration at a very high level. So you understand the political game better than most people do. And so right now, you got a lot of talk about the Supreme Court, the situation with Kavanaugh and all of that. And you said something that was real interesting to me when you were talking about how black folks are not taught in school about this almost secret racist history of the Supreme Court, that there's a side to the Supreme Court that black people were never informed on. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, well, it'll be appropriate since they took a vote today for putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. And I'm just simply amazed, Dr. Watt. I'm just simply amazed. I cannot understand why our people in general and white folk in specific are so absolutely ignorant of history and its implications for the Supreme Court. And see, the Democrats are going to lose. They're going to lose every time. The new Democrats are going to lose every time, and black folk are going to lose every time in any of these major issues. They're going to lose for a very simple reason. First of all, because they allow themselves to be psyched out and focus on sexism and gender issues and the Me Too movement rather than having focused on racism. See, if they had focused on racism, they could have won this thing, but they didn't. They focused on the women's issue, the gender issue. And so that's why, and see, they don't understand that conservatism will override liberalism 1,000 times with nothing left over. They're never going to win anything because we live in a conservative nation. Conservatism means to hold on to what one got and make sure nobody else ever gets anything. Conservatism has no intent towards being open-minded and liberal. When you hear these fights pertaining to their conservatives on the radio and TV shows and the movies, what they're saying is that we have no interest in anything other than our interest, our self-interest, and we have no interest in transparency and fairness. Why would you let somebody talk about a conservative judge on the Supreme Court based on fairness? His mind is already closed. Conservatism means your mind is closed, and the Democrats should have known that. But the old Democrats, the blacks also understand that the old Democrats were the people that enslaved black folk for 360 years in this country.
It.
And then a little bit of liberal Republicanism came in about 1866 to 1876, only lasted during the Reconstruction period for 10 years. And even then the conservative racism came back again and wiped them out. And the Republican Party became conservative. All the way up to about 1950.
Right.
And then when the black folks started leaving the Republican Party, becoming Democrats, the whole Democratic Party then switched over, and the old racist Democrats walked across the street and became the modern day Republicans. They've been flip-flopping back and forth.
Right.
But either way, wherever whites go, the conservative movement means that we're going to win, and we're going to take and control everything in power and wealth and resources. And black folks hung up on the Democratic Party, thinking that somehow the Democratic Party is going to help them. Democratic Party cannot, and because they're not going to focus on black issues. That's why had they focused and made that Supreme Court appointment based on racism, they could have really won it. They could have beaten. They could have stopped Kavanaugh from becoming another Supreme Court justice.
Amen. And that's something.
Well, everybody who just came in, I'm talking to Dr. Claude Anderson. He's the author of Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, and the Black History Reader. And also he's the head of the Harvest Institute, one of the leading think tanks in America.
It's not enough
so Dr. Anderson, I'm real curious about this. You as a historian, you know about a lot of the history of the Supreme Court. And you've even questioned, why blacks even seek justice in the court system. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say that that the whole system was designed from the beginning, just by the nature of who was on these high courts and things like that. It was designed from the beginning to keep black people in our place. If you look at the history of the court, there's never been a black woman on the Supreme Court ever. And there's been 2 black men and really only 1 black man, because the other black man was very anti-black. What do you think that we're, at what point, in what way do you think that we can even look to this court system to even give us any kind of justice?
So who was the other one? Thurgood Marshall? Yeah, Thurgood Marshall. I'm not going to listen to no more. I'm going to try to remember what I was going to rename this live stream. And I'm going to turn it off because Jeb Bush is going to get prime time on Morning Joe. It's only 20 minutes to 8. They got another hour and 20 minutes before the show goes off, and I'm going to take a nap, and maybe I'll wake up, open my eyes, and see Jeb Bush and see what he got to say, and then go back to sleep. I think it's raining. I was going to walk to my yoga class this afternoon. I'll check the weather instead of... No, that's a bus outside. It's just very cloudy. All right, folks. I forgot I was going to rename the video another something else. Maybe I'll remember it. All right, peace. Have a wonderful Thursday. Get your hammers out, homies. Get your hammers out, people. Represent for the iron and the sickle, the axe and the sickle. Peace and love.